Hey, I'm Tim Lopez, guitar player and one of the songwriters and singers for Plain White T's. And we've got a brand new record out as of yesterday. It's a self-titled album, so Plain White T's. Super excited about that, and we're gonna take a look at some of my gear here. Lately we've been doing so many fly shows, so it's a lot of pack up in Austin and fly to meet these guys wherever we're playing. And so I actually only travel with my main Les Paul here and my main acoustic. And then this is my buddy Nick Agee. He's my guitar tech. He travels with my pedal boards and Kempers a lot of times. So our touring rig has become so simplified because of all the flights that we're on. It's been a long time since we've either been in a van and trailer or a bus and trailer, so we've tried to make it as compact as possible and as foolproof as possible. I used to be like a total tap dancing nerd when it came to pedals, and when I first met these guys, I had a pedal board that was, enormous, and it got stolen on one of our first tours. And after that, I started trying to think, okay, how can I simplify what I'm doing? And I think we've got it pretty well sorted. I'm honestly not like the craziest tone buff. I mean, I know what I like, but I'm not, I don't get all wizard, with it anymore. Actually, in a lot of times I'm kind of relying on Nick to do a deep dive on Kemper tones, and he finds a lot of the profiles that we're using, which has been really nice. So a lot of times, especially with like the new record coming out, we'll dive into the tones that we've recorded and go through, try to get them as close as possible, save them in the profile, and just, it never changes from there. So this is my main workhorse guitar. It is a Les Paul Standard from 2012. I love this thing. We always have a backup Les Paul on our, backline list, and nothing really stacks up to this one. It's just so comfortable for me. Like I said, not like a crazy player or anything. I'm more of just like hold it down kind of guitar player. And pickup wise, I'm almost always living right here. We have a couple parts where I'll flip to the neck and roll the tone way off and kind of get that like low end kind of woofy sound out of it. But I almost always live right here. I mean, a lot of the old records, everything's just so like overdriven and pop punk feeling, so I exist right here. A little bit of wear and tear on her, but I kind of am enjoying that. I just want it to get beat to hell, and probably won't ever leave her. She's just got back from Gibson in Nashville. They did like full like overhaul on it, and yeah, that's it, man. Simple setup. It's almost always in standard, that guitar. I do some capoing, and then we have, just for this last little run, been messing with the Kemper, doing a E-flat tuning using the Kemper, which trips me out. You get like a little bit of like an artifact on it, especially with anything that's open string and it's really kind of vibrating, you'll get like kind of like a strange digital artifact on the top, but it beats constantly switching guitars just for E-flat. This is a true vintage J45. So my understanding is you're kind of getting like a pre-war setup, vintage tuners. It's a custom shop model. Yeah, man, same as the Les Paul. This one, for quite a long time, I was getting guitars from Gibson. I had a really awesome rep in Los Angeles, who no longer works there, and I wonder if it's because she gave me so many guitars. But this was one of the gifts back in the day. I think we were doing, like a Jay Leno show or something like that, doing either 1, 2, 3, 4 or one of those singles from back in the day, and I asked for a J45, and she gave me this guitar, and I haven't left it. It's really great. And Nick can kind of attest, we get a lot of like backline J45s, and this one just kind of sings. So, and more so like just cowboy chord wise, sounds so good. You don't have to like EQ it out in front of house. It feels like you plug it in and it's just like sits perfect. And I've done a lot of my songwriting on this guitar. A lot of times at home I will just kind of like try to shift around between guitars and slide capos around and try to get a good sound, but I tend to go to this one. So love this one, and again, kind of a workhorse. It's a little bit beat up from the travel, but I love it. Strings.
Ernie Ball, medium light, phosphor bronze for this guy.
That's how you get that sweet plain white tee sound, baby.
The thing with the phosphor bronze is they do get dull really quickly. So depending on how often we're doing shows, I will swap them out. Like we've done a couple shows in a row, so I changed them at the beginning, and then by the end they start to get kind of dull and kind of warm. But it actually sounds really nice on the J45 when they get a little bit dull. But yeah, I usually swap them out like every 3 shows or so.
This is also kept in standard. Like I said, is when I do my writing, I tend to use a capo to try to find something like, you know, just go through different progressions and, you know, the chords kind of ring differently or whatever. And then I take that to our live show. I don't learn the songs without the capo. I'm always kind of just sliding it around. So for foot controller, we're using the Mastermind GT. It's speaking to the Kemper. Nick has it programmed where, you know, every single night he programs our set list in here. So tonight is our throwback show to the All That We Needed record. So I'm just scrolling up and going song by song. You know, if there's an intro, it's there. Verse, chorus, guitar solo sound. Everything's pre-programmed, so simple. And I mean, we rarely have any issues with this setup. It's been so ideal for touring. Always the same sound every single night. We've got our Vox AC30s behind us, and those are for show. I used to play through a Vox, and for a time we were through a Fender DeVille. And when you're flying for every show, you just end up with different amp sounds, and this is just the perfect way around that. And stage volume super low. I think we kind of put a premium on making sure that the vocal harmonies are heard, and so keeping stage volume low, besides Damar, who hits the snare drum way too hard. Yeah, stage volume's low and just pumped right into our in-ear monitors and sounds great. Nick, what was the tones that we kind of dove into for pre-pro on this? What was the sample pack that we...
Yeah, so for the Kemper, there's kind of an endless catalog of sounds that you can find for it. Simplify it a little bit. JHS put out a Kemper pack a little while ago, so we went through, there's kind of every sort of major amp, like Fender, Marshall, and we kind of went through this last time in rehearsals and kind of simplified the setup using, going back to like those amps and kind of going back and trying to like beat sounds that we had set previously.
Man, you can really wormhole, because I think beforehand it'd be like, oh, for the verse tone we have a divided by 13 that who knows who uploaded or whatever, and then chorus tone is a Marshall stack or whatever. So we kind of went a little leaner this time. We used a lot of those samples.
Yeah, sometimes it's funny because there's just like an endless. You can kind of get away from the basics of just plugging in a guitar to an amp. And so we tried to kind of go back to that. And then on the Kemper, we're doing all of the stomp boxes. So you can actually see here on the Mastermind, we have the presets, like Tim was saying, for like intro, chorus, verse. But then we also have the stomp boxes that are going to each of those settings. So you could,
there's a chorus on that one.
So like this, the chorus has a boost. So you could actually turn that on and off independently on the Mastermind. We don't really do that too much, I don't think, but it's nice having the larger Mastermind because they make a smaller version, but this one has enough room for your banks. There's a tap tempo, the tuner, which activates the tuner on the Kemper, and then you have your presets and your stomp box and everything, so you have access to like everything right there. And it's basically everything is in the Kemper, and it's just being fed to the Mastermind, like all the set lists, the song titles,
it's
any
pretty
settings.
Foolproof.
Yeah, so everything
which is good for a foolish guitar player like myself. So
everything's there to where literally you just plug in the MIDI in and out, turn on the RJM, and it's just reading everything from the Kemper. So it works seamlessly. There's not a lot of moving parts, which is really nice because of all the traveling and touring that we do. And so just keeps it simple, as Tim
Yeah.
was saying.
And then we have
VP Junior, and then we have the Dunlop that's doing the expression.
yeah, which is really only used a couple times. Kind of do some like filter stuff, and it's all for like a brief moment. I'm sure it's wasted on almost everybody in the crowd, honestly. I like my in-ear mix to sound as much like the album as possible, so I have everybody in there, a really full sounding mix, and I'm gonna try my best to emulate what's on the record. What's the gauge on this guy?
So the gauge is 0.73 millimeter. They're just the Tortex standard.
Got the new album artwork on there. I have found that I have to scuff the hell out of this thing because the ink is super slippery. So I don't ever drop picks, and I have been. In-ears, there you go. I know nothing about this brand, dude. But I've been living with these for probably like 7 years, and they sound great. So.
But we could also talk about cables and the DIs. So for the DI on both Tim and Tom's acoustics, we just have them running through Boss TU2s or TU3s, I'm not sure, running into an active Telefunken DI, and those are just mounted to their pedal board, so it's always consistent, not different DI every night. For cables, we run all Mogami cables for Mike, for Tim, for Tom, all the guitars, all the basses, everything. Everything's high quality, gold-plated cables.
Pretty simple. Please go check out our new self-titled record, Plain White Tees. For more info on our touring, check plainwhitetees.com or Instagram at Plain White Tees. All of our tour info is up there. And we'll be on the road January, February of this coming year. So we'll see you out there.